Good morning, everyone. Kris here with Inspired Energy, and I have Mr. Hartwell this morning with me again. Happy birthday, Mr. Hartwell. Let
Thank you,
everybody know that
Chris.
it's your
Good morning, everyone.
birthday. So today our topic is all about how human design can help you with raising children. So the implications of using it while raising your children and the information that it gives you. So this is a topic that, like Hartwell says, is kind of near and dear to my heart because when I was raising children, there was always something I was searching for to help me and help me understand, like why the child is behaving the way they're behaving. What is that? Why are they so different? What is the dynamic between all of us? And so this is a tool that we can use. So thank you, Mr. Hartwell.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So maybe you can start off and tell us some of the practical benefits of human design that could help us in raising children.
sure. Well, first of all, it gives some very practical guidance for us. Um, just on a physical level, for instance, based on your type, there's suggestions on you know, how to get the best sleep for your children, for instance. A generator child has a lot of energy, so they should be exhausted before they go to bed, physically and in every other way. Whereas a projector needs to go to bed before they're exhausted. So there's some practical ideas like that. In the deeper levels of human design, there are suggestions for the right way to eat and what kind of educational variables gives guidance or insight into how you learn best, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some very practical things that way.
Mm-hmm. So isn't it even, if I remember correctly, we were discussing with human design that even the environment that you're in, so whether you want to be in a cave or you want to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I can't
yeah,
remember what you call that, but things like that, or that the child needs alone time or things like that are important to know, right?
right. You can look at the sensitivity level of your children, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
In what particular ways are they likely to be sensitive? In what
Mm-hmm.
particular ways are they likely to um, be more vulnerable to not self-programming?
Mm-hmm. And then other kids would be more sensitive to that.
Yeah, who are where we're all sensitive somewhere, or most of
Mm-hmm.
us are sensitive somewhere. Where are those places of sensitivity,
Mm-hmm.
and how can we honor them in ourselves? Or what are the workarounds? What are the ways of guarding us against giving away our power? I guess you could use that phrase.
Well, what it also like, so now that you've said that, what it tweaks within me is human design would then be an aid if it helps you from not giving your power away, then it would be an empowerment tool that you could use to help empower your child, could it not? If you're helping them operate the way they're meant to operate, if you're aware of that.
Absolutely. How do
Mhm,
you raise an empowered child is
mhm,
something that human design is directly equipped to answer for you.
mhm,
And of course, the basic answer for that is always going to be teach them to respect their own design and respect the design of others.
mhm,
And by respecting your own design, it means this is me, this is you, this is my strategy and authority. I am going to honor my own strategy and authority, and over any kind of external authority.
mhm. But okay, so then what comes to mind right now is a parent raising a child, and they're one's a manifester and one's a generator.
Hmm.
And obviously, the not self theme for the generator is frustration, and the not self theme for the manifester is anger. So
Yes,
when you are in a situation together, knowing what those are would be a tool rather than just being, oh, you make me so angry. Like why are you making me angry? I don't understand why you're pushing my buttons. But if you understood the actual design and the intent behind it, then you could actually create a strategy for dealing with it, whatever that situation that triggers.
Yeah. And I mean, it would have to be looked at in a case by case basis.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a little bit of a refinement of what you just said there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so much about somebody else making me frustrated or making me angry or making me bitter in the case of the projector. It's more a case of when I don't follow my own strategy, I'm going to have experiences that make me bitter. When a manifestor does not follow their own strategy, they're going to have experiences that make them angry. So it's not about other people triggering you into anger, bitterness, or frustration. It's more that frustration will arise in you if you're a generator when you're not following your own strategy.
Right. But a child wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
So as the parent, what I'm saying is when they're seeing that, right, then that's a cue for them to then make an adjustment somehow.
Yeah,
Because
sure.
whether they're the generator or the manifestor, whatever the expression is, then they're realizing, oh, somebody's not operating in their authority. So how do I come up with a strategy to help them? Right?
Yeah. How do you remind them to listen to their own little bodies?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it's not likely that any parent is going to be trying to make use of this information if they haven't themselves found value from it. Because remember, the parent is still a being that is in order to live their best life, they need to follow their strategy and authority.
Well, that's why it's important for a family to do it together. So like a mother and a father, well, what is our interaction together? And then, okay, now let's bring the children into the fold. And how does that change the dynamic? And how do we all relate together? So this is why I see this as such a valuable tool, because not only do you explore the children, but you explore yourself, who is basically a child anyways, right? You didn't do this work when you were a kid. So
That's
now
right.
you got to do it because you're raising children, right?
Yeah,
Exactly. So maybe you can dive a little bit into what are some ways that human design could help in the raising of children. What are the things that specifically it would help the parents do?
Well, we spoke of some of those already. Know about how, think about the overall the use of energy of the child. How energized are they? What motors are defined and undefined? What is their basic type, so you can help them sleep in the right way for them. And as a parent, really pay attention to the birth time. Don't lose that. Keep that information on hand. And then you can dive down into the deeper layers of their design at some point and see if you can help them, eat in the right way or be in the right environment. Of course, with a group of people who all have different needs, this is going to be, I think this is still an experiment that's unfolding in the world, because how many families are really trying to do this?
Yeah, exactly.
But, the more tools we have, the better.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I mean, those are some of the basic things. Energy management is at the core, I think, of our living in the world as ourselves.
And probably emotional expression too, right? Like if a child is emotionally defined versus one that isn't, because I had a friend who did human design with you, and she's like, oh, everybody tells me I'm too sensitive and I'm this and I'm that, because she would cry over everything. But that's how she's designed. She's emotionally defined. So she's going to go up and down with those waves and express that emotion. So it's important to know that about your child.
Yeah.
I mean, they're learning to express their emotions, right?
I was a child like that with a channel in the solar plexus. This is actually called the channel of sensitivity, and that was a big problem.
Yeah. Tell us about
for
that.
me, but for other people around me.
What's that?
What's that, Kris?
I said, what was that? I didn't catch that. You were a what around people?
it was a problem, not for me, not necessarily for me, but for the people
Mhm.
around me. It's like, how
Oh,
do I deal with this kid who's so sensitive?
yeah.
So um, it can really, I mean, what a gift to be able to have a system that then gives us so much opportunity to understand the differences between us and honor
Mhm.
them.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
And
this is a miracle. This is a miracle.
But even when we were talking yesterday, and I remember having this discussion, we were talking about incarnation crosses. We were like, "Oh, I don't know if I really like mine," and yeah, but
Yeah,
but it's understanding the gift that is within each of those. So instead of making it something negative, then you reframe it so that it becomes something that you can work with and expand on in your life, right?
yeah,
Hmm.
that's right. I mean, I often think about the natural world. You
Hmm.
know, when we admire a cat or admire a dog or admire the grace of an antelope or the
Hmm.
strength of a bear, we don't say, "Oh, that bear, why are you being so bearish? Why don't you be
Hmm.
more deerish?"
Yeah,
Or to that the adorable little mouse, why aren't you being more raccoonish?
yeah.
We don't do that. So why do we do it to ourselves?
Well, and we also, as parents, now that you say that, right? Why can't you be more like your brother? Why can't you be more like your sister? You must have heard
Yes.
that growing up, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, because parents didn't, or back then didn't understand that each child is so individual and how they need to express into the world, right? And when they suppress that expression, that's when they start acting out their not self themes, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, a parent is going to naturally maybe feel more comfortable with a child that is more alike to them. So
Hmm.
that could be an explicit thing for the parent. Oh, I'm more
Hmm.
like this one of my kids, so I'm going
Hmm.
to need to bring a special awareness to being a good parent to the child that's not like me.
Yeah, well, I can understand that and I can relate to that because I'm a generator. I have a manifesting generator and then I have a manifester. So for children. So
Yeah,
for me, the manifesting generator was easier to deal with than the person who was the manifester because the manifester doesn't need me. He's there to inform me how he's going to operate and that's it, right? So we would
yeah,
butt heads all the time, right? Because he wasn't like his brother. Right?
good
Yeah.
example.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. But it helps you understand. Like I can understand in hindsight. So imagine the power if I understood this in foresight and I understood going forward from the time the child was born, right? What are the ways I can help this child sleep? What are the ways I can help him grow and develop in this area? And as well as the thing that we talk about a lot was the different brain patterns. So are you all right brained? Are you all left brained? Are you a combination of?
yeah.
Um, yeah, because these are really big things like understanding that a child isn't meant to sit there logically with this piece of paper and study it and get it in his brain. And why can't he be like all the other kids at school, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Some people are skilled or better at passively absorbing things, just
Right.
like a sponge.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And then other people like they're experiential versus a logical brain person that wants to read it all and synthesize it and put it all together. There's people that just actually need to experience and be immersed in it, right? And
Yes.
yeah, and
Yes.
then you would learn that about your child from their design, and then you could design. For me, I look at it and I could design programs to do that, to deal with that, right?
Right. And I mean, maybe, we could talk about this all day. Maybe,
Hmm.
for instance, if this were understood in a classroom, there might be ways in which, okay, it's better for these kids to be together in a smaller group.
Hmm.
Or there might be ways that you could encourage them to that honor their own design by structuring classes differently or giving
Hmm.
them some time with people who are similar to them or something like
Hmm.
that.
Right, exactly. Or understanding, the generators need more active things to do than the projector. The projector needs more mental stimulation, for example.
Hmm.
It's just that would be helpful to know as a teacher, as a parent, as a guide, whatever you find yourself in and whatever role, right? Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, it would probably save misdiagnoses of various kinds too.
So like ADHD and things like that, you mean?
Potentially. So,
Or
for instance, if we use an example of, say, a kid with an undefined root,
mhm.
somebody with an undefined root is not somebody who experiences stress or knows how to deal with it well. They're not born to know how to deal with it automatically. The
Mhm.
adrenal pressure, the stress, the pressure to get things done. And
Mhm.
so they are going to be mellow in certain ways. They're not going to feel, they're not going to be very driven children.
Mhm.
But if you have them in a classroom and they're amplifying the root definition of everyone else, then they might become hyperactive because they're trying to release the pressure. And
Right.
so if somebody says, "Oh, this is a hyperactive kid," well, that's
Mhm.
actually exactly the opposite of what they are. They're
Yeah.
not designed to be hyperactive. They don't know yet how to deal with the amplification
Right.
of energy in their undefined center.
Yeah. That's a good point. So, just to wrap things up today, is there anything else that you can think of to mention to people about looking at the child through human design eyes?
Honor them, love them, look at the higher gifts that relate to each of their energies, and know that there's nothing wrong with them. And there's nothing wrong with you either as a parent.
Hmm.
It's only about learning to respect your designs and be curious about the way that you affect each other.
Hmm. Exactly. So, thank you, Mr. Hartwell, for on your birthday for enlightening us about children. So it's kind of serendipitous that we're doing this on your birthday, don't you think?
Hmm.
The day you were born. Yeah.
How do we honor?
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So, if everybody out there who is listening today finds this valuable or wants to know more, you can give us a call here at Clarity 587-596-3333. Make an appointment with Hartwell. Dive into your family's human design and see if that is a thing that can help assist you with understanding each other, having patience for each other, loving each other, and just empowering each other to be the best human beings that you can be. So for today, I'm going to sign off and just let you know that the next topic next Wednesday will be all about the incarnation cross. So we'll dive into that and give a little explanation of what that is. So have a happy day. God bless everybody. Love you.